This really unnerves me. I mean, I really love the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and the 6K Pro. The two cameras that I've been fortunate enough to have used, and I can say that there are a lot of similarities because moving from the 4K up to shooting with the 6K Pro, I've noticed that there are a lot of things that are very similar, but the few upgrades are some of the reasons why, of course, I've loved using the 6K Pro. Okay, yeah, we definitely upgrade because of features. And I must say I've really enjoyed the whole journey, but there's something that's about these two cameras that are very similar, which I wished wasn't there. And because of that, I would have given the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera a 9 over 10 because, of course, you can't get perfection. But because of what I'm going to talk about here in this video, I'm rather going to give it a 7 over 10. So yeah, let's just find out why. Before we get into the most conspicuous factor, I'm going to start from the camera that I used to use, which is the GH5, Panasonic Lumix GH5. And transitioning from the GH5 to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, I wasn't particularly expecting so much, even though I had watched videos and brought myself to understand the new things that I was going to be experiencing with the Blackmagic 4K. What I really understood about these two cameras, the GH5 and the Blackmagic, is that both of them are equipped with the Micro Four Thirds image sensor, which doesn't particularly do so well in low light situations. That's actually the subject matter of this video. Moving to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, as I said, wasn't giving me so many expectations because I had my speed booster for my GH5, which I could also use on my Blackmagic because of the the EF lenses that I've been using for the past years that I started doing photography and filmmaking. I was gracefully using these lenses, and any lens that I bought, I made sure that it was an EF for the most part, so I could use it on my Canon for stills, the 6D, use it on my GH5 if I'm shooting some B-rolls or let's say behind the scenes of whatever it is that I'm doing, as well as the Blackmagic. So yeah, the speed booster was going to be sitting on the GH5 and the Blackmagic, which are both equipped with the Micro Four Thirds image sensor. The Micro Four Thirds doesn't perform well in low light situations because it is so small in size. So if you compare it to, let's say, a phone camera, which its image sensor is relatively even smaller, you're going to get some grains and the noise is going to be very, very conspicuous as compared to the Micro Four Thirds. All right. And for that reason, I've noticed that using the Micro Four Thirds image sensor on both the GH5 and the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera, even in broad daylight when the light is as bright and as a lot that you can accumulate into the camera, I was still noticing some noise in it. And I think that's particularly normal with the Micro Four Thirds, which I cannot really complain about because I knew about that before buying a Micro Four Thirds camera and upgrading also to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, which is also a Micro Four Thirds camera. So when I got the opportunity to use the 6K Pro, all right, I was really expecting a lot, to be frank, because it's equipped with a much bigger image sensor as compared to the Micro Four Thirds. I think it's a Super 35, which isn't exactly a full frame sensor, which I would have emptied my pocket to the last penny to actually purchase if it had the full frame sensor. But a larger, relatively larger image sensor is still fairly good because it's better than the Micro Four Thirds when it comes to low light situations. But there's this particular issue about it. I'm fully aware of the limitations that I have with all the cameras I've spoken about, the GH5, Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and the 6K Pro, and for which reason I'm able to maximize it by combating the issues of the low light, poor performance with a lot of lighting. But this issue is actually present in the Blackmagic cameras, all right, the 6K Pro and the 4K, but not with the GH5. Just look at this shot. I shot this on the GH5, all right. You notice that the grains are there as I increase my ISO all the way to 25,600, and it's reasonable. I mean, it's what you expect, all right. You're going to get a lot of noise because of the high ISO, no matter how much light you're putting in. As long as the sensitivity of the image sensor have been bumped up to the topmost, you're definitely going to see a lot of grains, right? These grains, if in any situation you are going to be compelled to use that kind of high ISO, you can still reduce it by denoising it in post. And the noise that you see are actually all white and they are uniform. But I can say the same for the Blackmagic cameras. Here with the Blackmagic cameras, just look at this shot. As I increase the sensitivity of the image sensors, both the Micro Four Thirds on the Pocket 4K and the Super 35 on the 6K Pro, this is what I see. how can this be happening? You notice that there are some lines in there that are of RGB colors, all right? The red, the green, the blue, and they are moving. And these lines are not lines that are not going to be seen when you're editing the video. And even if you perform a denoising on the videos or on the footages, they are still going to be conspicuous. And this is what I've noticed about the Blackmagic cameras that I am not so much fond of, all right? If this issue I'm talking about wasn't present in the 6K Pro, I would have understood that and I would have attributed it to the Micro Four Thirds as it being the culprit or the reason why you see these lines over there. But if you compare it to the GH5, still equipped with the same image sensor Micro Four Thirds, but you see a uniform white color noise which doesn't distract so much. To an extent it's negligible, but I can't say the same for the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras, all right? And the 6K Pro here having a larger image sensor relatively to the 4K, I was expecting to have better performance. Even though it performs perfectly well under a brightly lit situation, if you bring it into low light situations, it does the same as the Micro Four Thirds Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. And why should this be happening? And this is not to say that the Blackmagic Pocket cameras are not the best. They are good when you expose it to a lot of light. If you have enough light working with them, you're going to get the best possible image quality, which mostly can be argued that can be compared to the image quality from Red cameras, Arri Alexas, and all that. Plus the user-friendly menu settings that are so intuitive, very easy, very understandable, you can go through. It doesn't really bombard you so much. These are most of the things that I really love about it. It also gives you the cinematic feel that you get with even a higher end camera. But this noise issue, this high ISO issue that I'm getting with these two cameras is what I don't really love, because in some situations, of course, I may not always have lighting to the my preference. Sometimes I may be working under low light situations, and if in such cases I'm going to have to be dealing with these lines that can't even be eradicated during post-production when I'm denoising, then I don't see how feasible it actually fits into my arsenal. So that means I can shoot in low light situations and increase my ISO. So let's say the traditional native ISO settings like the 400 and the 800. But if I go a little bit beyond it, and even with the 800, I notice those lines coming up. It starts from somewhere around 640 upwards. And when you get higher to the thousands, the 2000s, it becomes way worse and it is close to being unusable. But just as I said, they are very well performing cameras, and if you give them more light, you're going to get the best out of them. But this is actually the issue that I wanted to talk to you about. If you're thinking about purchasing any of them, they are very wonderful and I can actually recommend it to you. But you then have to be much more aware about this particular issue that I've not even seen in other cameras like the Canon cameras. Neither have I seen that in the Panasonic cameras I've used. I haven't just used the GH5. I've used the GH4 before. I've used the G7, and they all have the uniform high ISO noise, white in color, no lines like you can see in these shots from the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K and the 6K Pro. I hope in future upgrades or lineups, Blackmagic is going to consider this particular issue and try and eradicate it, because it's really unnerving. I don't see myself purchasing cameras that will give me problems when I've had a bad day shooting and probably I shot in a low light situation and I come to deal with denoising, which I don't really like the process. But I arrive trying to denoise and I am having even more conspicuous noise that are inevitable. You can't even eradicate them. It's not really cutting it for me. So yeah, this is what I wanted to share with you. I'm pretty sure that a lot of users of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras have also noticed this. And but I checked on the internet, on YouTube, to try and find out if people are also talking about that. I didn't particularly see anyone complaining about such. Probably I am not lucky, but I think using two cameras and they performing the same way and giving you the same results means that it's something about the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras. All right, so if you've been noticing that as well in your copy, let me hear about that in the comment section below. But on the other hand, if you haven't, let me also know that, and it can actually justify the fact that maybe my copies are giving me those issues. But I'm really confident that it is the design of the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera lineup. All right, so thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on the post notification button so that the next time I upload a new video like this and much more videos coming up, you'll be the first to see it and to watch it. And until the next video, I'm going to catch you later. Have a wonderful day. See ya.